take one last look at this machine, because it's never going to be the same again. Hello fellow CNCnutz and welcome. In this episode I'm going to start the upgrade of my machine and replace the XZ axis on it. I've had this machine and been using it for well in excess of 10 years and I'm very happy with it. It's been a great machine, and I even started upgrading the Y-axis here a couple of years ago with a view to continuing on and doing the X and Z axis. Now, like I said, I've had this for well over 10 years, and this carriage here is made from MDF, which is a great material to work from, but not exactly from a longevity point of view, especially in mechanical applications. So with that in mind, it's starting to show its age. It's getting a little bit loose here and there, continually having to tighten up the bearings on it. It's done its dash. It deserves a well-earned rest. Now, since I'm going to be replacing this entire carriage here, I'll just be removing it and adding in my new one. And that's also going to be important because I'm not 100% sure how this is going to turn out. I've been thinking about it for a couple of years. I have a rough idea in my head what it's going to look like when it's finished, but there's a lot of finer points I just don't know about. So, for instance, I don't know how exactly I'm going to connect the X-axis motor drive to the Z carriage. That's something I have to work out when I see it in place and can move, physically hold the components in my hand and work out how best to connect them. I'm not like one of these engineers who sits down and models everything. I just sort of do it on the fly. Now, I'm not going to take you through a list of the components I'll be using to upgrade this here. I'll just simply bring them out as we use them. And I really don't have the time for it. I've given myself 2 weeks to get this up and running. It doesn't have to be finished, it just has to be up and running. And considering I haven't fully designed it, what could possibly go wrong? Okay, so we're first going to start with removing the X and Z axis. Okay, so I've removed a good amount of the hardware holding it in. There's one bolt holding in each side into the X-axis. So hopefully I can now just lift it off and not make a fool of myself. Let's see what happens. Oh. I made a fool of myself. Well, could have been worse, but it's off now. Now you might be asking yourself, if I'm not replacing these here, why have I taken them off? And there are actually two two reasons for that. I'm going to put this down because it's actually quite heavy. Now, when I was originally making the other one, I couldn't figure out what colour to spray paint the metal parts. And so I brought a spray galv to start with, put that on, and I find I quite like it. It works in with the aluminium really well. So, problem solved. I was going to get another can of this stuff here and just spray the rest of the parts with it. Problem is, there's a pandemic going on, and I can't get that particular spray paint. Now, I've tried other ones, and they're not as nice as this here. All the spray galv products I've tried have a very flat finish, where this looks more painted. I've given up on it. I'm going to paint them all black. So, with that, the stupidest reason for removing them is because I now need to pull the whole thing apart and spray the metal bits. But there's another reason. I'm going to flip around the X and the B axis on my machine. Mine's dual drive. I've slaved the Y axis to the B, sorry. And I need to swap them around because I'm going to be changing the loading on that particular axis. When I built this, you notice one side is longer than the other. Obviously it's needed for this here, but there's another reason as well. If I put the X-axis on this side here, I can keep the load mostly over this front bearing where possible, and that's the reason I need to flip it. If I put the X-axis on this side here and it hangs off here, it's going to want to permanently move like this. So that's where I'm going to leave this episode. I'm going to strip those apart. I'm going to spray paint them, put them back together, and we'll take up from there in the next episode. All that remains for me to do is to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, ring that bell so you get notifications of the next episode, so you can keep track of this new Axis build. And I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.